Hello, I'm Alan Muserino, Superintendent of Schools for the Alvord Unified School District, and welcome to our weekly podcast, a video message to our community. Since the topic this week is distance learning, we're going to broadcast this week from a Google Meets virtual conference room. I'm actually going to join the chat with a telephone, again, modeling our expectations as it relates to getting connected however you are able to get connected. So I will be via phone. My guests will all be in the Google virtual conference room. Now, the purpose of our weekly videos is to provide you with updates as well as answer questions. So towards the end of the program, we will go ahead and visit the mailroom and answer some of the frequently asked questions from our families. Okay, now, for the purpose of this topic, I'm going to define distance learning as a teacher and a student being in different places. Now, that doesn't have to be online, but it mostly is. So today we're going to learn about how our students are providing distance learning or how our teachers are providing distance learning to our students. So let's begin with our guests introducing themselves. Mr. Tan, let's start with you.
Hello, everyone. So my name is Aldrich Tan, and I'm a special education teacher at McAuliffe Elementary School, and I work with students with learning differences from grades kindergarten to 5th grade, and I'm also a certified level 2 Google educator and a member of the District Technology Committee.
Thank you. Bethany.
Hi everyone, my name is Bethany Rivera. I am a special ed teacher at Loma Vista Middle School. I work with I have 2 separate setting 8th grade classes. I co-teach in a 7th grade math class, and I co-teach in an 8th grade math class. I also am the ASB advisor and sit on lots of different committees within the district and at my site, and I'm happy to be here.
Emily.
Hi, I'm Dr. Emily DeVore. I am Director 3 of Elementary Education here in the Alvord Unified School District.
Vivier.
Hi, my name is Libby Palacios, and I'm a 2nd grade dual language teacher at Valley View. I'm also one of the 100 Mile Club coaches, and I service English-only students and also dominant Spanish-speaking Spanish language instruction with the 90-10 model. So,
Rafael.
Hi, I'm Rafael Perez. I'm a high school teacher at Norte Vista High School. I'm also the head cross-country coach and assistant track coach. I work with co-lab students with a co-teacher, and I also teach sheltered students, and mostly our newcomers EL 1 and 2.
Okay, and Robert.
Hi, Robert Schwan. I'm one of the assistant principals at Hillcrest High School, helping our teachers with distance learning as far as technology using Google Classroom, Google Meet, or any other technology tool or application available to us to help our students succeed during this time.
And Dr. Kemp.
Hi, I'm Dr. Sherry Kemp. I'm to be the Assistant Superintendent of Educational Services in the Alvord Unified School District.
Okay, and Dr. Kemp, let's start with you and Dr. DeVore, introducing the concept of distance learning and taking our viewers through our resource page.
Absolutely, my pleasure. So in essence, distance learning is the opportunity for us to provide the teaching, learning, and resources for our students to actually learn at home. I am so proud of the work being done by our staff, by our teachers, our students, and our parents. We've actually been working on distance learning since day 1 of this shutdown. This is a very big change, and so I want to thank everyone for really embracing it and trying their best. So for distance learning, first and foremost, you should always look to your teacher for instruction. All of our teachers and our counselors have an online presence right now through Google Classroom or Class Dojo, which our fabulous teachers and Mr. Schwan are going to talk about in a little bit. So we're going to start with the resources that we actually have for you on our Alvord website. So if you go to our AUSD website, on the front banner, you are actually going to see a page that says distance learning, and there's a little tab that says learn more, and you're going to click that, and you're going to go right to our educational services page. So on this page, we have a huge variety of resources for you. So I'm going to take you through it just a little bit. The first thing that you're going to see at the top of the page is the opportunity to click on our FAQs. All of our links are live, which means they're updated often. So our FAQs are updated on a consistent basis. On the side of the page, you also have a number of tabs that you can go to, and it will take you to, for example, college and career, EL support services. We even have virtual field trips on that tab. But the main thing that we are focusing on for distance learning are actually these lovely colorful tabs that are right there smack dab in the middle of your page. So we have tabs for a number, we have for teachers, for parents, and then we've broken our tabs down by levels. So we have elementary school, middle school, and high school. So the first one I'm going to just take you a brief little tour of is the parent page. So when you go on our parent page, we have all kinds of resources for our parents. So we have social and emotional support, and there are a bunch of links here that are Riverside based that you can go to, helplines, counseling referrals. We also have the number for Spectrum in case you need internet. We have for parents how to access Google Classroom, Aries Parent Portal, and then a bunch of at-home activities that you can do with your kids. So this is, again, updated often, so we really recommend that you come here and click on this as a parent to get a bunch of resources. The next tab that I'm going to take you to is actually going to be our high school tab. So when you click on that high school tab, we have our areas broken down by content at the secondary level. So middle school and high school are both broken down by content. So we have English language arts, math, science, social studies, VAPA, PE, ASB, all kinds of different things. And these resources are really wonderful. For example, Khan Academy, you can get math practice in virtually any standard that you need to. ELA, a bunch of free things. We have free books. We have AP class support on here, SAT support. So anything that a secondary student might need, we have here for you. And now Dr. DeVore is going to go ahead and talk about our elementary resources.
All right, thank you, Dr. Kemp. As Dr. Kemp did mention, it's so important that we are communicating with our teachers. They are here for you. So we encourage all of our families to really stay connected to our teachers. We can do that via email. There's Class Dojo, Google Classroom, and some teachers also use Seesaw. So in addition to the work that you're going to be receiving through these online platforms, the website does offer multiple elementary resources on the educational services page that Dr. Kemp just shared with you. So you will notice in English and Spanish, the elementary resources. We know at the elementary level the importance of structure and routine. It is imperative that your students have a daily schedule that they follow each day to really support their learning in all the different content areas. So this elementary learning enrichment resource does that for you. It provides time and space for all of the content areas, including visual performing arts and physical education. But we also encourage our elementary scholars to participate in some brain breaks, in crafts, and in play, because that is part of their developmental growth as well. In addition to the elementary learning enrichment structure day, we also have TK through 5 learning packets. These are found in the Distance Learning tab on the Alvord webpage. These learning packets include close to 100 different resources at every different grade level, TK through 5th grade, in the areas of math and in language arts, where students can have information on various skills in those content areas that families are able to pull from for additional resources.
Okay, thank you, Drs. Kemp and DeVore. Let's now go to Mr. Schwann. Tell us all about the Google Classroom, Robert.
Thank you so much. As you heard all of us talking here, all of us have a little bit of experience here in classroom. I'm one of the administrators here in the Alvord district, ready to help our teachers and, of course, our students get acclimated to getting comfortable with some of our digital tools we have. One of those is Google Classroom. We have teachers that are posting work there. So rather than sending packets home, a lot of our teachers are engaged in putting those PDF files, Word docs, PowerPoints, Google Slides, whatever digital resource they have on their computer that they can print, they're putting them on Classroom. And so teachers can send those to students. Students can see them online, open them up on their Chromebooks or computers or tablets or phones, and be able to engage in the curriculum that is being offered by our teachers. I've been helping out a lot of teachers, whether they are seasoned pros or very beginnings of what it looks like to start a Google Classroom, how to engage with their students during this time of online learning. And it's just been really, it's been good news to see a lot of people getting out of their comfort zones to learn some of these great tools, including Google Meet, the platform we're using right now to record this podcast, and how we can connect with our students and our staff with video and with audio so that we can continue the good work that we would have been doing already should we be gathered together in schools. So it's been really exciting to assist and help whoever needed. And like I've said before, so many of us here at Alvord are ready to jump in and help whoever's in need, whether it be a parent, student, staff, to make sure that they can use these tools like Classroom and Google Meet to their advantage.
Thank you, Mr. Schwann.
Mm-hmm.
So we define distance learning for the purpose of our plan as the student and the teacher being in different places. When you think about distance learning, of course, you think mostly about online learning, but it's much, much more than that. Many of our students are utilizing material packets in addition to or instead of online learning. So now we are blessed to have 4 of our illustrious teachers joining us today, and they are going to share their experiences. As you know from our last few podcasts, we've had students share their experience so far with school closure. Now we're going to get the perspective from the teachers. So we're going to go around. We're going to start with Mr. Tan, and then we're going to go to Mrs. Rivera, Mrs. Palacios, and Mr. Perez. First question, 45 seconds or so on what your professional life has been like since school's closed.
Wow. Well, I'll just be very honest. It's been one Zoom meeting after another with my students and their parents because I've been working on building relationships through digital means with my students and their parents. When the school closures first happened, the first thing I did as a special ed teacher is I called every single parent or emailed them to check in and see what they needed and what did they want their kids' education to be like at this time, and letting them know I'm here for them. Fortunately, when I was in my classroom, I trained a lot of my students how to use the Chromebooks to access all sorts of digital resources such as Prodigy, Math, and iReady, and System 44 Next Generation, and Read 180 Next Generation. So the kids had access to those resources at home. And starting last week, we've started to have IEP meetings through Zoom with parents and gen ed teachers and the administrators all participating with the parent through Zoom. And getting the meeting signed and still trying to get these meetings through so we don't have a large number of meetings at the beginning of the new school year. I also got to participate in a really awesome teacher car parade that one of our teachers planned. So we got to drive through our students' neighborhoods and see them and see that they still support us and they miss us and can't wait to be back in the new school year. But for now, I'm practicing what we should all be doing, which is physical distancing and still being in touch with my kids through digital means.
Okay, Bethany.
All right. Well, thank you. So my professional life, since we've gone to the distance learning, really hasn't changed much in the sense that I'm still just as busy participating in IEP meetings, leadership meetings, school site council meetings. I still am trying to maintain my same practices in my classroom, but this time online. So I still try to meet with my students for community circles. The only difference is I just now get to do it out of my home instead of my classroom. And my one, I guess if I had a complaint, was that I just don't get to see my students' faces every single day. That's been the hardest struggle for me, is not being able to greet them in the morning and say hi and just make sure that they are safe and in a good place. So I'm having to adjust that professionally myself.
Okay, thank you. Libby.
I feel that this time has been a learning curve for me. I have been able to really dive into technology. I've been attending webinars. I've been researching. I've been, like problem solving, and I see one problem comes up and then I look for that answer, and constant communication with my parents. I think even more now than before. Using technology absolutely a lot more. And I think, like I've expressed to my parents, we are all in this together and we are all learning together. I think that it's been, another plus has been that my colleagues and I, we've been working more collaboratively and having many Google Meets. At the same time, I've already had, I want to say about 3 with my students. 2 of those Google Meets were with the whole, as many students were available. And then I did a one-on-one actually yesterday because mom wanted me to speak to my student, her child, to tell him this is all real. We have homework, we have work, we have things to do. And he asked me to speak to him, and at the same time answer some questions because he had trouble with the math. So I was actually teaching him one-on-one, which was really fun. But like Bethany said, I do miss seeing the kids. And I guess the challenge for me right now is balancing work and balancing my home. It's been difficult. I have 2 high schoolers and my husband to attend to, and it's constant, who's texting now, who's communicating, and so that's been my experience.
Well, thank you for sharing that, particularly on the personal level, Mrs. Palacios, because teachers, even though they're part of the essential workforce and are expected to be teaching all day, which they are, still are juggling their personal lives, still caring for their own children, in many cases schooling their own children. It's unbelievable. I don't know how you all are doing it, but my gosh, I'm certainly thankful that you are and doing it as well as you all are. Let's go to Mr. Perez. Rafael.
Yeah, so for me, the way that my professional life has changed is, I'm used to working with my students and being able to be right there next to them when they struggle, their struggles, and especially with my sheltered kids, I would have to say I have the least access to them as I do my other students. Of the students I've been able to contact, some of them are not in the country at the moment, or some of them are actually working right now. So trying to, balance what their schedules and trying to modify assignments for them in this online environment, which luckily right now I'm also doing a master's in instructional technology. So this is kind of what I'm learning right now, and kind of trying to guide them through while they're learning not only the English language, but they're also learning computer jargon as well and how to use technology in an efficient way. And so, right now it's been difficult, but my bilingual aides have been extremely helpful, and my administration's been helpful, and my department and the social science department has been extremely helpful in constructing things to help service our students.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Perez. I think what you got from everyone was this notion that we are all learners and we are all in this together. Let's wrap it up with our team of teachers today, and share how you think this experience is going to change you as a teacher and your students as learners. Let's start again with you, Mr. Tan.
Use. Well, I think one of the major things that this is going to do is for teachers, it's going to really transform how we teach the kids. And one thing that I'm really proud of, I've seen so many of the teachers that I personally worked with are trying new things, whether it's doing video conferencing or making online tutorials or trying new apps that they've never tried before and are getting out of their comfort zones. And that's only going to benefit these students when we come back to school, especially because our tests, the state test, and a lot of the tests are going online. So we do have to train kids to be college and career ready. And that includes being really, really tech savvy. What I'm also proud of is that this distance learning has really proven that a lot of the students with learning disabilities are just as capable as their general ed students without learning disability counterparts in driving their own education, that these kids want to learn. They want to go on the software and they want to, and it's helping us, this technology is helping us develop self-driven instruction, make these kids develop instruction that's specifically identified to what these kids need. But most importantly, I think that this is going to transform how our district views technology and the need for more training and to try out the need for more training, and definitely the need to continue to learn as teachers, because we as teachers are lifelong learners. So we definitely want to learn more how to use this technology to help our kids, because it's only going to benefit them the most. But also I think is with us teachers, we're building an even stronger rapport with our kids through their parents. And I have so many parents who've come to me and said they're so grateful that I am still keeping in touch with them, even during this time. And sometimes being tech support for them too, to help them work with this new technology. But they're still so grateful that we are still there for them. And even though our classrooms are not open right now, we're still teaching.
Right. Well, thank you. Yes, school is open. I've reminded everyone that it's schoolhouses that are closed, not school. Ms. Rivera.
So for me, I think that this experience is going to impact my teaching when we return, in the sense that I definitely will be using more technology in my classroom. I've used technology quite a bit. We use different programs, but this is really showing me different ways that allow me to be more the facilitator and allow my students to kind of persevere a little bit more and have that productive struggle where I can kind of step back and facilitate more. And I think for our students, this is not only going to prepare them for this technology world that we are in, but I think it's also going to teach them more grit and perseverance. Like Mr. Tan said, is a lot of our students are having to self-drive or drive themselves to work. And that really speaks to the growth mindset that we've been trying to teach these kids about, that perseverance and that grit and that always pushing forward and just continuing to do your best no matter what circumstances we're in. So I'm actually very excited to see, unfortunately I won't get to see my 8th graders, but my incoming 8th graders, I'm really excited to see their growth mindset and how it's going to change because of this experience.
Yeah, without a doubt, the lessons learned are going to be well beyond arithmetic and language arts and extend to everything from learning how to learn to grit, motivation, all the soft skills that we often talk about, but because of our commitment to teaching the standards and testing and everything that drives our curriculum, we don't spend as much time on that. So again, that might be among the silver linings from this pandemic. Let's go to Mrs. Palacios for closing comments.
I agree with Mr. Tan and Miss Bethany or Rivera. I think that being at Valley View has been kind of like business as usual, in the sense that we have parents that are very involved. And so I think that because of this new, knowledge that I have and using technology, I think that it will allow me to incorporate more of those family community nights that we have with the technology. Because since our parents do work a lot, especially our English speaking parents, with the students, I think the technology component would really just fall nicely into those meetings. Especially our underrepresented populations, like those students. We did have a few that went, out of the country. So, I have parents that don't have that technology, savviness. They need it. And so the need is great. And so I think that not only will I incorporate it in my classroom with the students, they are just thrilled and excited. They're not as apprehensive or, scared to use it. But I think the parents are the ones that I really need to bring in and help them to get comfortable with the technology, because I have to keep stressing to them, it's okay, we're learning together, and I make mistakes constantly in the room, and the kids know it, and so we're all learning from our mistakes.
Well, without a doubt, and I think another silver lining, and there's a lot of them, is the power of the school home connection. I believe that is being reinforced. I believe that it's never been greater, and that will continue to carry on, because the connections and the close partnerships, as well as so many parents who've told me, my gosh, I always loved teachers, but now I love them even more than I ever did. How they do what they do is amazing. Closing comments, Mr. Perez.
Yeah, so the way it's going to impact the way I'm teaching from now, especially with my sheltered students, I likely get to use the laptops a little bit more because they are housed in my classroom for our department. So I have a little bit more access if no one else claims them. And I actually had an opportunity to teach my kids how to use Google Classroom beforehand. And so I felt my kids are very much more equipped. And I think I definitely want to kind of engage them more on the tech side, so that way they are more experienced, and especially when we come to these tests, they're able to do so. But also I've been utilizing a lot of these apps that have been, giving out free trials, and, these free trials are definitely, changing the way that we're going to be looking at technology. And I think it's something that we could definitely try to invest in, so that way our students have more access to, engaging technological uses, rather than just, we're putting a document online for them. That it's not as engaging as using something as Breakout EDU or Pear Deck or different things like that. So that way our students can, almost feel tangible with the online learning as well. So trying to build like more of a hybrid classroom with them is what I'm hoping to maybe try to do, in more technology use in the classroom.
Well, thank you, Mr. Perez. On March 13th, when schools abruptly closed, we did our best over the course of the next 2 weeks before spring break to begin this process of trying to understand exactly what it was that we would be doing. We did what I referred to as a soft launch at that point, which was providing material packets for our families to pick up immediately while we begin the process through Dr. Kemp's office to get everyone trained, as we heard from Dr. Kemp and Dr. DeVore and Mr. Schwann, to make sure that our teachers are comfortable. Then we had spring break, and on the 13th of April, we launched our full implementation of our online learning program, which I am absolutely delighted that we had 4 of our illustrious teachers come and share that with our viewers, because what our teachers are doing, what our support staff is doing, what the people at the district office that you heard from are doing to support those efforts is absolutely incredible. And I know our families are very appreciative because they tell me. They send emails, they get on the thought exchange, and they share how excited they are about it. So with that, thank you to our teachers. I hope you could stick around because when we return, we're going to transition, and we have another special guest, and that is Dr. Judy White, the Riverside County of Education Superintendent of Schools. So we'll be right back with Dr. White. Now we are joined by Dr. Judy White, the Superintendent of Schools for the Riverside County Department of Education. First of all, Dr. White, thank you so much for joining us and speaking to the Alvord school community. So let's go right to Dr. White's responsibilities and what your life has been like since school closure, and describe for us what is the role of the county related to the pandemic.
Okay, just a quick reminder, there are over 1,000 districts in the state of California. So what happens is that the districts are divided into groups, and there are 58 counties that work with each district. And so in our county, I was called to the governor's office along with all the other 58 county superintendents on March the 9th, and we were told about the expectations of our role regarding the pandemic. And the first thing was feeding of the children. They said to ensure, support all districts so that children can be properly fed. And the second expectation was for the distance learning. How can we support distance learning? So my life has changed. This is my 42nd year in the field of education, and I've never been through anything like this before. But one of the things we're doing at the county office, in addition to having webinars for distance learning, we actually have a one-on-one tutorial. So if someone finds themselves in a position where they need a one-on-one, they can actually go to the Riverside County Office of Education as an educator and get a one-on-one tutorial.
Well, what about what you've seen since the pandemic started, since schools closed, and what are some of the highlights that you're seeing out there? What are some of the great things that school districts are doing?
To me, the greatest highlight are the teachers. The way that the teachers have responded to distance learning, the way that they have embraced learning again so that they could support their teachers and their students, as well as the passion. I have seen so many teachers so passionate about their work. And I think this part of missing the kids is important, because sometimes I remember being a teacher and I couldn't wait to the next break. But there's a yearning that has increased among our teachers. A few of the highlights include bus deliveries for food and packets, where in some places the parents couldn't even come out to the district office or to their schools. And so the districts decided to take the food to the parents, and they had bus stops where they would drop off food as well as the packet. Another highlight has been KVCR. KVCR is a station that's located on the San Bernardino Community College District campus, but their bandwidth goes all the way through Riverside County and San Bernardino County. So they have actually made sure that they can provide television opportunities for our students, especially those that don't have access to technology. And so we have teams of teachers from both counties working on lessons where they could actually turn to the channels. And they actually dedicated 4 channels, one for preschool through early elementary, one for upper elementary, one for middle school, one for high school. So students could turn to those channels and see quality lessons that have been vetted. The last piece I would like to share regarding highlights, as Riverside County, we are also concerned about the social emotional learning of our students. And so we put out a few challenges for visual and performing arts. And we've asked our students to participate in art contests, drawing contests, as well as poetry. And this week we featured dance. We have students from every single one of our 23 districts participating. And we were able to secure gift certificates for winners, but they're just doing it for fun. And so I think you have to engage them. You have to be able to make sure that you're celebrating what's working well and not just focus on the challenges.
Well, without a doubt, well said. How do you see this pandemic changing education, changing how we deliver education?
I think that the pandemic is going to have a life-changing impact on every single individual. So we will be personally changed. And in the field of education, I can see a stronger integration of technology. I see more personalized services. I can even see that there might come a time that we really do focus on the mastery of a standard for promotion as opposed to time and a seat. I can see caring to the nth degree where we are missing each other. And I think that when we see each other, even though it might be still distance, social distancing, I think the hugging of the eyes, just being able to see someone that you haven't seen in a while because you have shared humanity.
No doubt. I believe that there will be changes for the better. I do believe that there'll be an increased collective empathy among people. I think we all understand each other a lot better now. I know from the work we've done with our essential workforce, particularly those who are out on the front lines, our child nutrition service team, we've all been working together to make sure that our families have meals and all the support that they need. And we've all been working together and have a great appreciation for each other's responsibilities as a result of that. So I do believe there's going to be so many positive things. Again, I'm going to continue to talk about the silver linings, because if we don't find those, if we don't get something positive out of this horrible period in our recent history, then we're not trying. And it's important that we continue to model for our students as well, that there will be something good that will come out of this. Dr. White, in closing, anything else you'd like to share with the Alvord school community?
Yes, I want to let the essential workers know that $100 million was given to Riverside County to support the child care. So if they find themselves in a position where they need child care and they have been identified as an essential worker, they can go on to the Riverside County Office of Education website, and there's a place you can go to Early Learning Services and find the child care. Now, because this is emergency money, even if there was a relative that was willing to take care of your child, they can be paid for this. And there are also some centers that have been created to support our essential workers. We do not want them worried about quality child care while they're serving humanity. The last thing I would like to say is that experiences that we have, especially challenging experiences, can either increase our faith or take our faith away. And I want us to make sure we maintain our faith and that we create opportunities for us to become better people. Thank you for this opportunity.
Well, you bet. And God bless you too, Dr. White. I appreciate you joining us today. And feel free to stick around. We're going to wrap things up now with the podcast. Mr. Schwan, if you'd be kind enough to go back to the slide so we could do the mail room right now and cover a few things before we sign off. What you're seeing on the screen right now is from our frequently asked questions, and it's highlighting the question about grades, because we got a lot of questions about grades. What grades will students get? And primarily for high school, where they're part of the transcript. And the way we're doing it, which is similar to the way virtually every school district is doing it, is we are holding students harmless based on their grade on March 13th. So if a student is able to participate in our distance learning program from March 13th on to the May 28th last day of school, they have an opportunity to improve their grade. But if they're not able to participate for one reason or another, they could get no less than the grade they had on March 13th. Okay, let's go on to the next question. People ask, how could I stay connected? How do I know what's happening in the school district? Well, there's a lot of different ways. But the best way is to utilize our app. And you see the front page of the app, the mobile app that is, on the screen right now. And if you utilize the app, you're able to get virtually everything you need to know, from how to make a mask in 45 seconds when you're going out in public, to accessing our frequently asked questions, to accessing all of the information Drs. Kemp and DeVore shared about distance learning. Mr. Schwan, if you just want to scroll a little bit through this, you'll see an opportunity to meet the Board of Education. You could click on a link and join the streaming of our board meetings, which are now audio streamed. If you go to the next page, Mr. Schwan, you'll also see all of the apps that are utilized for instruction, from Class Dojo to Clever to the Google Classroom, also the Thought Exchange app, also the portals, the Aries portals for students, as well as for parents and for teachers, and then our social media links as well. Once again, ensuring that we are connected to our community. First and foremost, as much as we would love students to continue their formal education as it relates to the curriculum, we're more interested in ensuring that our children are safe, that their families are well, and that they're able to make it through this very, very difficult period of time. Staying connected is the key to that. And one of the ways we do that is through the Thought Exchange. So what you see up on the screen right now is a recent exchange that closes very, very soon. We asked our seniors only what they would like to see for graduation. And there was a popular thought that was above all of the other thoughts that were on that exchange, and that is that they would like to see a formal graduation, a traditional graduation where they get to walk across the stage, be handed their diploma, and get to walk down those steps to their adoring families and friends who were there to participate. And I probably, fair to say, everyone in this room right now has gone through that process, and our children right now are at risk of not being able to participate in that. So we had, of our approximately 1,300 seniors, we had about 42% participate. That's a really high percentage of participation. That's how motivated the students are to get a graduation. So we're going to do our best as a Board of Education to be able to deliver on that. It's going to depend, of course, on how safe it is to congregate large groups of people. But once again, the Thought Exchange, our website, our mobile app, platforms such as Instagram, Facebook, and Twitter are all being utilized by Alvord Unified School District to ensure that we are connected to our students. We also have given out 3,000 laptops so far and have worked very closely with families to ensure that they're connected to the internet as well. Once again, if we do anything throughout this period of time, it will be staying connected to our families so that we have the ability to connect our families not only to education resources, but also to a lot of social emotional supports and other resources that are available through the city and the county. In closing, I would like to mention that Governor Newsom perhaps provided us a glimpse into the near future related to schools with a statement during his press conference on August 14th. Here's the audio of that conference.
You know, how does the school year in the fall look different for California students if we meet all these measures and we're able to start, doing some of what you talked about?
No, I appreciate it. Look, and thank you for the question, because you've also offered me an opportunity to say something that I wasn't clear about in the initial presentation, and that is as it relates to mass gatherings. The prospect of mass gatherings is negligible at best until we get to herd immunity and we get to a vaccine. So large-scale events that bring in hundreds, thousands, tens of thousands of strangers all together across every conceivable difference, health and otherwise, is not in the cards based upon our current guidelines and current expectations. Things can change radically. And we, of course, can have therapeutics at scale, the kind of community testing at scale, the serology tests at scale, and capacity to get vaccines earlier than we anticipated that can change that dynamic. So I want to caution my own words in that context. But when you suggest June, July, August, it is unlikely. That said, as it relates to the school year, we need to get our kids back to school. I need to get my kids back to school. We need to get our kids educated. We need to deal with their mental health and the parents' mental health. It's hard to educate your kids and then take care of everybody else that parents are required of taking care of, not least of which each other, and other responsibilities within the household. And we just need to do it in a safe way so that those kids are not going to school, getting infected, and then coming back home and infecting grandma or grandpa. So we have to be very, very vigilant in that respect. As I mentioned to you, we've got these teams of people, and some of them are more built out than others. The area that we will be building out much more robustly is the school space, to very specifically answer that question. We have hypothecated, since you want to offer that lens, perhaps of imagination, let me hypothecate with you scenarios where in physically constrained environments where practicing physical distancing within the school come this fall may be challenged, we can conceivably stagger the individual students to come in as cohorts in the morning, some in the afternoon. We have to work, of course, with our unions and others and management to figure something like that out. But those are the conversations that we're already having. As it said, assemblies, PE, recess, looking at how you provide meals to our kids. All of those things would have to be reconsidered. Deep sanitization, massive deep cleaning, a predicate, by the way, not just in our schools, but disinfecting our parks, our playgrounds, our benches, our swings, our sidewalks, our streets, all common areas for businesses, for office building managers. The idea that we are still pushing to get to floor 10 and floor 11 to make sure that there are wipes, make sure that there is the kind of sanitation within those building systems. All of that is guidance that likely will be put out, which will again be predicate for reintroducing, again, a semblance of normalcy that, again, I recognize is anything not in the short run.
When we return to next week's podcast, we will explore Governor Newsom's comments in more detail. For now, thank you again, Dr. White, for joining me for this special edition of our video podcast. And we will see everyone next week. Thanks for joining me today, and bye for now.